Hello, hello. This is Ghost Tracks Podcast. This is Tina speaking. We are back for another episode. I am so excited to be here. I apologize if you have been here with me from the jump. I was sick last week, dying of the plague or whatever the hell is floating around in the air. It was miserable. And then I got better, and then my daughter got it. So it's been a house of horrors and illness over here. I probably still sound a little weird. I sound like a frog, I think. My voice, it sounds like I have smoked 3 packs a day since the age of 6. That's what I feel like. It sounds like. I'm still hacking up along, but I do feel loads better. Glad to be back and recording. I felt so bad to leave y'all hanging last week, I tell you. But we're here and it's gorgeous outside. It is in the evening time, so it's going to start cooling down a little bit more now. Obviously rolling into night, but it was 60 something today and sunny. First little taste of spring we had. I'm so ready for springtime, guys. I am so ready. I prefer the cold weather, but I'm telling you, I am over wintertime. Like, I am not a winter person. It has been so cold this year. So yeah, definitely ready for the spring. I am not ready for summer. Don't take it that far. Like, my youngest son has a Disney trip for school that I am so excited to be going with him on that trip. I've actually never been to Disney. I am in my late 30s and I have never been to Disney. So I am looking forward to this trip as well. But yeah, so we're getting ready to go there, but it's going to be, I think, in the 80s while I'm there. And I'm kind of dreading it because it's obviously not that warm here, and I think I'm going to be miserable. There's just no right temperature for me right now, I don't think. I'm miserable when it's cold, and I'm miserable when it's hot, so I don't know. I don't know what to say. The weather cannot please me either way, I guess. But yeah, so nice weather. I have a sleep token song stuck in my head right now, so that's great. I mean, I'm not hating on it, but I'm here with you guys recording and I can't be jamming to Sleep Token right now. So that's kind of well, I was going to say it's kind of a bummer, but it's really not a bummer being here. Just a bummer that I can't, be here and listen to Sleep Token with you guys, I guess. For anyone that might be looking for some, music recs, if you've never heard of Sleep Token, but you're into it's kind of hard to describe what they are. Because they're not metal per se, but they're not just like a traditional alternative either. But anyway, heavier music most of the time. But the song that is stuck in my head currently is The Offering by Sleep Token. It's off of their Sundowning album, which was came out in 2019. They weren't as well known at that point in their careers, not until the release of Take Me Back to Eden came out. Now that album, hoo-wee, guys, they knocked it out of the fucking water with that one. That one came out in 2023. I would be like, here's a song from that album that's really good. But truthfully, just go listen to the whole fucking album. Like, it's amazing. I love Sleep Token, but I hear they've got something coming out soon. There have been talks, chatter on the interwebs. It sounds like they've kind of hinted to some stuff on their website. So I am anxiously awaiting more Sleep Token music because I'm here for it, man. I slept on them, no pun intended in relation to their name, but I didn't give them a shot And I regret that wholeheartedly because now I've missed out on listening to their music for longer. But that's my TED Talk on Sleep Token. Thanks for joining me for that random bit of music recommendations, I guess. But that's not why you guys are here. Or maybe you are. I don't know. Maybe you anticipated that I would be talking about Sleep Token today. I am always here to talk music. So if you guys have some recommendations or think there's something that, I would like to listen to, or you want some more music recs, hit me up on my socials. I'll absolutely give you some recommendations. But today we're going to talk about bridges, which, low-key, I'm actually really scared of bridges. I have had nightmares most of my life about driving over a bridge, having it collapse while I am on the bridge, and plummeting to my death to the water below. Not awesome dreams. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. I don't know where these dreams or the fear came from. I distinctly remember, so I grew up on the East Coast, and I can't for the life of me remember the name of the bridge, but anyone that lives, kind of mid-East Coast, so I lived in Delaware, of all places, and we used to go to the Baltimore area for field trips and stuff for school, and it is the big bridge, one of the big bridges. I think it's the only big bridge out there that we had to drive over to get between those areas. And I just remember being absolutely mortified in elementary school. And I remember driving over it when I was really, really young with my parents, and I was in the back seat of the car, and I remember I had a blankie, and by blankie, I mean I'm looking at said blankie right now, actually. My grandmother sewed this blankie for me when I was young, 2 years old, maybe. My younger brother has one. Well, actually, all of my younger siblings have one as well. But yeah, this blankie, this lovely blankie, I remember covering my head, putting it over myself because I was afraid to be on the bridge. And there's no real reason for it. I guess it's probably a very common fear for people, I would imagine. It's just heights, you're over water, you have absolutely no control over, whether it falls down around you or not, which is not a comforting thought, but here I am thinking it. But there was one time that I actually had a really close call with that fear and it coming to fruition. My youngest son was about 4 years old, and we were living in Washington State at the time, and we lived on an island when we lived in Washington State. And so we had driven off island to the mainland to go to good old Costco, get our shopping on, get all them good deals. And we were driving back to the island from the Costco. We were still on the mainland. We were still in the city part of where we were at. And it wasn't a super small bridge. It was a 4-lane, maybe it's a 2-lane. No. It was a 4-lane bridge nearer to Costco. And about 15 minutes later, we had pulled over at a casino gas station because them casino gas stations got the good gas prices, right? And while I was pumping gas, like every human on the planet these days, opened up their phone and was on Facebook, just kind of scrolling while the pump was going. And I saw that emergency crews were actually on their way to the bridge that we had just passed over a few minutes before. A larger truck, and I don't remember if it was a semi or just a box truck. I want to say it was a semi, but they had gotten too close to the side. So, you're driving within your lane, but they had crossed over the right side line, I think, and they clipped the top support beams on the bridge with the trailer, and the bridge collapsed into the water. Thankfully, I believe there were only 2 different vehicles involved in this incident outside of the semi, which I am almost positive got all over the bridge. I think they were on the mainland, but 2 different vehicles. There were 3 people between the 2 vehicles. They did end up falling into the river below. But everyone survived without serious injury. But I am damn certain those poor people, a fear of bridges was born that day. And my fear was just amplified. And obviously I wasn't back on the island yet. I still had a big ass bridge that I had to cross over to get to said island. So this particular island is accessible by bridge on one side and a ferry on the other side. That is the only way to get onto the island. So we're talking about bridges today. But we're not talking about bridges falling down, and we're not plunging to our well, okay. I guess I can't say we're not plunging to our death, because there is a death involved off of a bridge, but it's not vehicle related, and the bridge did not fall down. But this story, before I get started and tell you where we're going today, I want to make it known that this story is a little difficult to talk about for several reasons. There are acts of violence, there is racism, there is talk of the KKK, and there is talk of hanging. So if you are not in the headspace to hear this story, I absolutely understand and respect that. Go ahead and skip this episode. Next episode will be listener tales. Come back and join me then. But yeah, no hate. I absolutely understand. I obviously had heard of this story before, but I forgot the details of the legend surrounding the haunting of this bridge. So I just wanted that to be out there and for you guys to be aware of it, so that way you guys can make the best decision for yourselves and whether or not you want to stick around. But anyway, we're going to get started. So we're going to talk about the haunted bridge in Denton, Texas. It's called the Old Alton Bridge, but it's also referred to as the Goatman's Bridge. So the Old Alton Bridge it is an iron truss bridge, and it was built in 1884 as a way to connect the city of Denton to Copper Canyon. What they didn't anticipate was that building this bridge, they were actually going to be building something that became one of the most legendary spots in Texas, and I'm going to only speak on one legend today, but it's the main legend of how this bridge became the Goatman's Bridge, how this bridge became haunted. And then obviously there's other theories and things of that nature that I do get into, but I'm only telling the main story and then kind of some of the smaller little things about it. But anywho, while the history of the Old Alton Bridge, it does come with many variations, much like most stories told over centuries, there are certain versions that stay the same. And the most commonplace version of Old Alton Bridge's infamous history is as follows. So the legend goes, in the late 1930s, there was said to be an African-American entrepreneur named Oscar Washburn who lived near the Old Alton Bridge. He and his family tended to goats on their farm, and the farm was known for its quality meat, milk, cheeses, and hides, which they crafted purses and satchels out of. Oscar, being that he lived close to the bridge and that this bridge at the time was one of the main roadways between major towns, hung a sign on the bridge that said "This way to the Goatman," for visitors and locals alike to help direct people to his farm. However, there were local KKK members in the area who were enraged by the sign being hung by Oscar, and being the scum that they were, sought out to bring about violence on Oscar over a fucking sign, guys. Like, how dare you hang a sign up literally anywhere? because of the color of your skin, it's an issue. I hope these motherfuckers are rotting in hell. Back to the story. Sorry, you're going to get a lot of side tangents because there's something I can't stand, and that is racism. Okay? My son is, like I've said in a previous episode, my son is biracial, and people are just rude. People are just rude and judgmental and think they know shit that they don't know. And I hate it. I hate it. So anyway, on a dark night, a lynch mob formed, and they stormed the Washburns' home, attacking Oscar and dragging him screaming to the noose that they had waiting for him on the bridge. Just gross people. This band of absolute dogshit humans then tightened the rope around Oscar's neck and mercilessly threw him over the side of the bridge. However, when the men, and I do use that term as loosely as I can in this instance, guys, when the guys went down to the river's edge to confirm that Oscar was deceased, they were shocked to find only an empty noose dangling over the calm waters of the river below. However, even though these waste of human flesh sacks were scared to their little panties, their idiocy did not stop there. Perhaps in an attempt to bait Oscar out of what they assumed was him hiding, they went back to Oscar's home and set it on fire with his wife and his children inside, watching it burn down around his loved ones. Oscar was never seen again after he was sent over the edge of the Old Alton Bridge, but it is said that the bridge has been haunted by a vengeful spirit ever since that fateful night. Paranormal encounters are often reported at the bridge, and this bridge is a hotspot of investigations by enthusiasts of all calibers. I think it's one of the most visited spots, or at least maybe the most visited bridge in Texas. I know that Texas actually has a very healthy amount of hauntings and haunted locations. So if you're ever looking to go get your spook on, head to Texas, I guess. But legend says that if you drive onto the bridge at midnight and you turn off your car and honk 3 times, or if you're walking onto the bridge without a vehicle and you're just walking it, if you knock on the steel of the bridge 3 times, you're summoning the vengeful Goatman. And how do you know the Goatman is there? Well, guys, there is often a smell of decaying flesh. This is not setting yourself up for a romantic walk in the woods. Rotting flesh is not an aphrodisiac. At least it is not to me or anyone that I'm aware of, because that would be grody. But as if the rotting flesh smell wasn't enough, if the Goatman does appear, he's also said to kidnap those who summon him. So don't be knocking on his shit or beeping your horn at his shit unless you really want to run the risk of running into this guy. But if you do summon him, there's kind of sort of a silver lining to the kidnapping thing. It is said that as long as your bloodline doesn't have ties to the KKK or slave owners, you're safe from the clutches of the Goatman. If you are not related to humans that were shitty humans and thought that the color of people's skin or their sexual orientation was a big deal, or, you didn't own some humans, you're cool. At least in the eyes of the Goatman. I don't know, maybe you're still shit, but it's a good start to not be that way, guys. There have also been reports of glowing red eyes from the darkness beyond the bridge, glimpses of a large, snarling, goat-headed man stomping in the dark woods, and even reports of an apparition of a satyr carrying the heads of goats or humans in his hands. I guess could be goat heads, could be human heads, maybe a little bit of both. I guess it just depends on what homie's feeling that night. I'm not really sure. And of course, when there's reported activity like this, people try to make sense of what they deem to be evil. And who does evil better than Satanists? Enter Satanic Panic, guys. And I'm just going to throw this out there. I do not agree with that generalization. Satanic Panic is crazy, okay? I know that if people were to look at me and had this mindset of, the satanic panic craze, and they were to look at my lifestyle and my decorations in my house and the things that I like to wear, they would absolutely say that I worship Satan, which I do not. Let me just say that now, loud and clear. I do not worship Satan. I worship the earth, guys. Okay, she's a bad bitch. And I worship that energy that is ever flowing throughout the universe. But not that you care or needed to know. I'm just informing you. But there have been many who believe that satanic worship is also, or could be, the reason behind the events at the Old Alton Bridge. Those beliefs go as far as to claim that a portal was opened at the bridge for a hell-spawned demon to be released in the area. I think that's how I came about, honestly. I am a hell-spawned demon. There are also people who believe that the wanderings in the woods are actually Oscar's wife looking for her murdered children. For the rest of eternity, she is filled with just grief and rage, and she's wandering the woods and taking those feelings out on the people who are fucking around and finding out, I guess. But I could see that, truthfully. Whether the entity at the Old Alton Bridge is that of the Goatman, a satanic ritual, or a grieving mother's soul, what I can say for certain is that human beings are far more scary than any non-living entity that I've ever encountered. Kind of sounds like to me, if these encounters are true, and the history of the bridge is anywhere near what the legend says, it sounds like to me that the area has every right to be haunted. Violence leaves a stain where it happens. I truly and honestly believe that. I believe that pieces of us are left behind in those spaces. Guys, J.K. Rowling was onto something with the Horcruxes. I've had this question posed before. Are places haunted or are people haunted? Or is it a little bit of both? So I fully believe that some of the trauma that has happened to me in my life, obviously I am here. I am a living person still. I am a living person. I am not talking to you guys from the great beyond, okay? I'm sitting in my bedroom right now. I am here on the same plane as you. But over the years, I have had some really shitty things happen to me. And I absolutely believe that those shitty, horrible, horrendous, scary things left their mark on the spaces that they happened in. And pieces of my soul kind of broke off and live in those spaces now. I just don't see how it couldn't happen for people, whether you're living or have passed away from whatever it is that happened to you. I just can't imagine that you get to keep every piece of your essence when something so terrible happens. Because I've never been the same after those things happened to me. After the losses that I've had, after the abuse that I've endured, just all of it. I've not ever been the same, and I truly believe that it is because a piece of me was taken and left. It doesn't sound too crazy. I don't think it does. I know a lot of people feel that way, but yeah. And then you also have to believe that do you become haunted? You as the person, do you become haunted by the things that happen to you or around you? And are you carrying that essence? I'm not speaking of trauma, because I think that's different. I'm speaking on like a soul level. Are you carrying around those things and creating, not necessarily apparitions, but are you creating a haunting? I mean, I've heard people, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Greg and Dana Newkirk, but they actually, I believe it was last year, they went on tour. They have a haunted museum that they travel with and show their pieces on tour. Fantastic, like oh my gosh, I wanted to go see them. They were really close to where I live, and I would have loved to have gone to see that show. It ended up not working out, so I'm bummed, but I really would have loved to do that. But anyway, they brought I think they were dummies that they made or had made. And sorry if I'm sniffing or you guys can hear me. Like I said, I'm still sick, guys. But anyway, they brought along these 2 dummies, and I don't know if, I think they did with both of them. They had them named, and I can't remember what the names of them are. But at every show that they did, they asked people to create some sort of story to give to these dummies and give it energy to create a haunted item. So I believe that us as humans, I believe in energy, like I said earlier, and I believe that you can take that energy, whether it be your good energy or your bad energy, and you can distribute that and push that into a space, a person, a non-living entity, an item. Even as a living being, I think that that can be done, and you yourself can be haunted, or you can create haunted spaces and items because of something that has happened. I was actually, as I was saying that, there was a movie that popped into my head, and I know that I've seen it, and I'm gonna have to look it up and reference it later because I don't remember what it is called. But it's basically a little boy, and he had so many bad things happen to him in his life. I believe he was in foster care, if I remember correctly. And it went so far that he himself turned into this other vicious entity that I think was killing people, if I remember correctly. But it was his foster mother that figured it out and loved him through it, kind of, and broke that curse, I guess you could say, on himself and brought him back. So that's pretty cool. But if you're asking me what show or movie that is, I couldn't tell you. I apologize. I know I've seen it, but I don't remember what it is. But Old Alton Bridge, absolutely a tragic legend. But I gotta ask, would you guys be brave enough to go there? Would you go to the Old Alton Bridge and knock 3 times? I think I would do it. I think I would. I think I would go and I would knock. But I also know that it doesn't matter where I go or what investigation I'm doing or space I'm in. I come into those spaces with good thoughts. Even though, I'm there to have an experience with something, with an entity of sorts. I do believe that they live in those spaces. I go to the places that I go to try and experience them and get some kind of proof that they are in fact there, but I also do it respectfully. So I'm not afraid to go to these places because I respect whatever energy is in that place. I respect the entities or the people that are left there behind. If they pass away and they just can never move on from that space, I respect them. I respect the homes and the buildings and the walls themselves. I'm not trying to fuck around and be, Zach Bagans in there with my tight ass shirt screaming at fucking ghosts and shit. Hell no. I'm not about that life. Zach can keep on doing that shit. I lead with love and light, guys. I'm one of them. But thank you so much for joining me, for being here. I know that this story, I guess it wasn't. Okay, I'm not going to backtrack and backpedal and be like, oh, I guess it's not that bad. It's horrible, but it wasn't like a long, drug out, story of violence and abuse. But anyway, still a horrific example of human behavior. So, again, I'm so sorry that this was a week late. I'm sorry that I caught the plague and that I was trying not to wither away into the ether. I really was miserable. I have had surgery and I have broken bones without needing to take pain meds afterwards. But guys, you give me a fever and I turn into the biggest, most giantest baby there ever was. I mean, I was rolling around in my bed, damn near crying. Like, it was kind of pathetic. But I am feeling better, like I said. I'm happy that I'm back here telling the 3 people that listen to this these stories. In all seriousness, whoever's out there listening, hey yo, thanks. It is so appreciated that you're here with me, that you show up. Thanks for showing up, guys. Whoever you are, I love you. Remember, I have social media. You can follow and engage with me. Engagement is huge, guys. Look, I'm a mom of teenagers, okay? I don't see a whole lot of big people, like adult people. So engaging on social media, especially about weird shit, makes me really happy. So if you follow me, if you could talk to me, that'd be fun. I'd like that a lot. But I have Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. The podcast can be found pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. I have added a few other places like iHeartRadio. I know I added that one. I don't remember where else I am other than the normal ones like YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. Yeah. Share with your friends, your family, all the weirdos that are like us. Help me grow my little baby podcast into something amazing. Guys, I'm just happy to be here. But, I want to be able to tell lots of people the stories and have you guys tell me your stories. So if you have a story or encounter, and what I mean by that, guys, I'm not talking like you have to be the most haunted of haunted people. I want to know if you saw some weird shit in the woods and you think it's Bigfoot, fucking tell me about it. Okay? If you think you were abducted and probed by an alien, I'm going to cry for you because I'm terrified of aliens, but I definitely want to hear about it. But I will cry for you. I'll feel bad. I'll send you a donut to sit on. I don't know. But I do want to hear about it. Let's see. What else? Do you have an inner voice, an inner knowing of things? Are you a little bit psychic? I want to hear about it. I want to. Have you had visitations from your pets? Family members? Friends? Some guy that used to live 4 houses down from you? I don't know. Just tell me all of it. You can share those and you can have them. I'll read them on the podcast. And just so you know, I know a lot of people worry about staying anonymous, and that is fine. If you guys want to be anonymous, I will absolutely respect that. So just, if you send in a story to have read and you want it read, just put in, before you get into the story, just put in there and request that you stay anonymous. Just don't use my name or change the names or whatever. Just let me know. I will absolutely, I'm cool with that. But you can send them in to ghosttrackspodcast@gmail.com. But yeah, thank you so much for being here and for listening. I'm excited to be back. Guys, I didn't die. So, stay creepy, and I'll see you later. Bye.